The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, everyone, thank you for joining me. And looks like we're right on time at 9 a.m. Pacific. Looks like the webcam's working, and I believe I've got audio. And if I don't, I'm sure you'll let me know. As we go through the presentation, feel free to ask questions, and you can use that window there on your tool there for the chat as well. And I think as we go along, I'll probably answer a lot of the questions in the presentation. But of course, there'll be some time hopefully at the end. So we have a lot to get through, a lot of great material. We're going to talk about using automation and algorithms for trading to help take some of that heavy lifting for you off the plate. You don't have to babysit anymore, screen watch, spend all day watching the screen. That can get a little bit ridiculous, I think. People up all night trying to trade, watching the screen. So with that said, we're going to talk about using automation, algos for trading, and also using algorithms for options markets. And especially with options spreads, we have a proprietary indicator and some tools, and you're going to want to hear that as well. Stick around. And thanks for Investor Expos for having me. So appreciate the invitation. And before we get started, let's talk about speculating. Remember, we're always taking risk whenever you try to make money. If you're trying to make some money and whenever there's an opportunity for profit, there is always risk. So do take a moment and look at that risk disclosure. It is important. All right, great. Remember, all funds committed to trading should be risk capital, and past performance is no guarantee of future results. So our goal today, we're going to look at technology that experts are using. We're going to show you something I don't think you've ever seen before, and we'll diversify among various markets. And we're going to look at bull markets, bear markets, and even sideways or flat markets. And how do you apply strategies when the markets are going sideways? How do you trade that chop? They call it the chop bucket. And if you're screen watching and you're trying to use your gut and instincts to trade all that and crossovers and averages and indicators, good luck. So I don't think it's probably going to work for most people. And you probably can relate to that as well. When I talk about using your gut, you want to try to avoid this. You don't want to be this guy that says, when it comes to investing, I just trust my gut. So I think there's a better way. That's what we're going to show you. You want to end up here like this robot using technology and algorithms, confident in their trading. You don't want to be this poor chap here struggling with what to do. So we're going to look at algo-generated options trades. These are pre-built spreads. We have one-touch trading alerts. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's because you've probably never seen them before. It's proprietary to us. Automated risk and profit controls, bull markets, bear markets, non-directional markets. And then, of course, we'll have a demo of the algo trading. You can look at real money track records on these systems. You can diversify in various markets. And of course, markets move up and down, and the machines, the robots, the algos, whatever it is you want to call them, they don't really care. And then later on, we're going to show you, you can enter in your phone number, and then you'll get a trade alert. We'll set you up to receive a trade alert, and it'll show you how to do that as well. So that'll be kind of a fun part of the demo. So stick around, let's use our time wisely. I promise I won't waste your time. We might even go quickly. So follow along, and we'll have these live demos here. And then we'll have a special offer, something worth over $32,000. And that's no joke, no hyperbole. And we'll show you how to get that at an enormous discount and how you can participate, and even for free. And meanwhile, I think I have a few questions here. Someone said they couldn't hear, but I think I'm good. I don't show any trouble on the audio. So it would be, sorry if you can't hear, make sure your speakers are on and that type of thing. And we'll keep moving forward. So if you like what you see, take action, and we're going to show you how to do that and get involved. And then here's the agenda, a little bit about who we are. 3 trading barriers, and I want us all to focus on those 3 trading barriers because I think we can all relate no matter how long you've been trading and investing. You don't want to fight algorithms. We're going to look at a live demo of these trading robots. And then we'll look at options trading with algorithms. Then we'll show you how to get started with that special offer I spoke about. And then, of course, some FAQs. So we are Altivest. If you don't know who we are, we've been doing this since 1997. We're a registered introducing brokerage firm. All of our staff are licensed with multiple decades of experience. Pictures of us down on the trading floor of some of our S&P 500 options pit brokers, the big team we had working with us there for many, many years. And maybe you've seen Altivest before in some of these other venues with the CME Group or MarketWatch, or even with investors expos as well, some research that we're participating in as well. So we do get published quite often. Here's MarketWatch. Here's an article on the gold market. You can see here being published there within MarketWatch. So we do have a nice footprint, and we are regulated with the NFA and CFTC. We're located in California. And those are the 2 regulatory agencies that oversee our industry and our space. And we've traded millions and millions of options contracts and futures contracts over the years. So with all that experience, you don't have to try to figure everything out on your own. You can use us, and we're going to provide that technology, that trading experience built with decades of development from industry veterans. And a little bit about myself. I'm Eric Gebhardt, been doing this about 30 years now. I'm a co-founder of Altivest with my BS in Business Administration from the University of Southern California. And I have my Series 3 license for about 30 years now. And I've been presenting on the web, especially since the pandemic. I'm sure everything has mostly moved online, but a lot of different presentations in various outlets and venues. And I began in the mutual fund industry with my security licenses. Currently have a 65 license as well. And of course, my Series 3 futures and options licenses. All right, we're going to jump into part 2. And with that said, the introductions look like they're out of the way. And I think it's better if I shut off the webcam for now. And that way we have more real estate on the screen to work with. So number 1, day trading. It's not that easy, folks. Less than a 1% success rate for people that are trying to day trade on their own. Here's a Journal of Financial Markets. Here's a study they did, and they said here, you see that yellow highlight, less than 1% of the day trading population is able to predictably and reliably earn positive abnormal returns net of fees. And I think maybe a lot of us can relate to that. And then Wall Street Journal talking about social media stars are moving the markets. See the green highlight there? But staying popular means they never can criticize a meme stock. So if you want to be popular online, you basically have to always be bullish. So it says the vast majority of trading does not produce long-term wealth for day traders. And the people who do it, these are influencers preying on that part of the brain that thinks I will be the exception. It's very high-risk behavior. And look at this, all the bulls. The bull market, what's popular are the success stories and hot tips only. But when the message is bearish, however, the viewers turn away. So fascinating. And I thought this was good too. 2/3 of adults who have been investing for less than 3 years are using social media to make stock trading decisions. So these are, I guess, the influencers, these young people here, just pumping up stocks and only talking about good news, such as this. And I know it's kind of crazy, but yeah, people are having pool parties, pumping up the value of stocks. And I think that's a bit of a, well, stock market fairy tale, maybe. I had to put that in there. I think that summarizes the whole atmosphere perfectly. The bull here is being sold a story from the Wall Street guy. Anyway, so day trading, remember too, you really don't want to sit in front of your screens during the trading day and babysit everything. And then how do you beat the market? Even if you are trading, How do you know your results will do better than the market? Because remember, you have to be perfect with your pick, your direction, the strategy, the timing for entry, and more importantly, your exit. How do you manage the risk and reward? Look at this here from Mark Skousen, a famous economist. It says, beating the markets, actually the monkeys will actually win. They outperform the index by 1.7% per year on average. So that's just sort of a monkey portfolio, as they call it. So there you have it, folks. There's your best trader right there. And even the best of the best, hedge fund stars, shows here random darts are beating hedge fund stars. That's from a couple of years ago. But I think, quite frankly, it's a similar dynamic. I need to find where to update that. And now number 3, how can we relate to number 3? Or how can we not relate to number 3? Let's take a look here. I know some questions coming in, and let's see here. I'm going to get to that in just a second, folks, here. Okay, remember, markets are correct 100% of the time, and we aren't. So it can be expensive trying to convince the markets that you are correct. So that's from Ed Sequoia, system trading pioneer featured in Market Wizards. And yeah, someone's asking about the algos. We're going to show you that demo in just a moment, but yes, once you turn the algos on, they will trade for you automatically. So we'll show you that. So it says here, I still think the market was wrong. So you don't want to end up with this quote on your tombstone, folks. And part of the number 3 here, emotions. There's so much noise, it's difficult not to find yourself trapped in this cycle. I'm going to show you this roller coaster cycle in just a second, but I think we can all relate to all the pundits and talking heads and different opinions, not to drive you crazy. And that's what happens. You end up on this cycle of emotions. You're optimistic and euphoric at the highs, and now you're desperate and you wave the white flag and capitulate, and you're despondent and depressed, and all of a sudden there's a little glimmer of hope, and now you're optimistic again. So we want to avoid that. And Motley Fool says, the worst financial enemy is us. I think there's a lot of truth in that. Even after all these years, it's still difficult at times to divest yourself from the emotions of trading. So you have that confirmation, anchoring, and recency bias. And I think this picture here sums it up. So I think we can all have a good chuckle at that one. So when things are going great, you just tend to think you're a real genius and kind of discount everything else. And that's kind of one of those pitfalls you want to avoid. But remember, the algos have no emotion. They're dominating the landscape. 80% of the stock market is driven by machines causing drops and rallies. Institutional firms command a large portion of the US market. That's probably no secret. Bloomberg points out that robot analysts are outwitting humans on their investment picks, and that's no surprise either. You've got IBM building, Big Blue, the supercomputers, of course, chess masters and so forth. Everything's really computerized, algorithmic, AI, you name it. And that's what you call revolutionary trading. So we hopefully we can avoid being on the wrong end of this cartoon here. We want to be over here as much as we can. This is what it used to look like, folks. There's a short, grainy video clip I took. And now, here you go. Now here's the competition that you're up against. No human emotion, they run automatically, built-in risk controls and profit controls. And here's an example why we like these. You can diversify your stock portfolio with automated systems. So here's an example. March of last year, obviously we all recall the stock market dropping like a rock. And here's the VIX, or the fear index, spiking higher. Meanwhile, here's one of the systems of the many we have available, but look how it performed in March. And of course, past performance never guarantees future results. So let's keep that in mind. But the point is, when the stock market may be dropping, it doesn't mean you have to be handcuffed and wedded to just a long only portfolio. There are other strategies, other systems, other approaches, and we'll show you that here in just a second. How to use algo systems to compete. So we have automated systems, user-friendly platform. You can filter for risk and reward parameters. You can set this up really in a matter of minutes. Trading market sectors, very diversified bunch of markets, automate that risk and profit, and then you just set it to offer on and walk away. Markets move up and down, it doesn't matter. The robots don't care, they'll be short or long. There are day trading and swing trading systems across multiple sectors. So here is the live demo with we've done all the testing here. I thought that was kind of a fun picture there, that test pilot. So we've done the testing for you, and now it's time to jump into AV systems. And we'll go ahead and jump into that demo. So give me just a moment here. I'm getting more and more questions too. And one moment here, folks, while I switch screens. Yeah, keep the questions coming, even if I don't get to them right away. Let me double check, make sure you're watching the same screen I am. I've got multiple monitors so I can handle all the content on the screen. Yep, we're in good shape, folks. So here you're looking at the dashboard for AV systems. And we're going to walk you through this step by step. We're going to follow these 4 steps. We'll show you how to explore and choose systems, how you then need to subscribe to a system with buying a license, and some of the licenses are free actually. Then how do you activate and then monitor that performance? You can see right away we're looking at the first 25 out of 206 available, so that's a lot of algos, and I'll show you how to filter and kind of synthesize that and boil that down to maybe just a handful. But before we do, you'll see this table. This is interactive here, and you can sort the table. For example, annualized return on investment. You can go ascending or descending order just by clicking on the headline there. So you see the top performing systems have some huge numbers, 485% returns. But keep in mind, folks, big returns like that, probably not sustainable. Probably also means there's large drawdowns, a large amount of risk as well. But I just want to show you can filter for ascending or descending. And beyond that, let me show you how to customize this table. Maybe these headings here aren't to your taste. So you can add any of these headings and delete any of them. And then you can simply just go to OK, and it will reflect the headings that you've chosen. So we're just using the default setting. We don't need to get into that. Here is a field. If you want to look at gold systems, you just type in gold. You'll see there's 146 to choose from, or whatever the market may be. NASDAQ systems, 216 to choose from. So that's one way to do it. But here is really the best way to go about it. Here's how you really filter. This is a very powerful tool and super user-friendly. And we'll show you what it does. First of all, there are quick filters. You'll see right away, maybe you're looking for systems that have been tracked for more than 1 year and they're profitable. So if you just click that link, and now you've filtered everything down, and now there's 671 systems that meet that filter. And you could do, add more filters with these quick filters. You could edit the filters just using that little icon here. You would clear the filters to start over, but here's really the most powerful aspect of this, the advanced filters. So you are able to choose and filter on all of these different criteria. Look at all this. And let's go through an example. Maybe we're looking at systems that currently have clients. So we'll click that one. We'll add that. And now we're going to look at, for example, are you looking for intraday systems or perhaps swing trading systems? Perhaps we're looking at swing trading systems only. That's fine too. We can add that. And let's look further. I'm just kind of making this up as I go. How about the type of market traded? And this will give you a good idea here. There it is. So you can see these are the markets available. And if you don't know what the symbols mean, there's a symbol list right down here. But we don't need to click on that right now. But you can see wheat, corn, the euro currency, sugar, heating oil, gold. You've got crude oil, copper, natural gas, platinum, silver, the Russell, soybeans, bonds, the Dow, the Swiss franc, the NASDAQ, the E-mini S&P 500, the pound, you name it. So we can go ahead and try gold, the E-mini S&P 500, and euro. I'm just making that up, and we're gonna we're gonna add those. Okay, so now you have 7 systems that meet these particular filters and this criteria. And you could even drill down even further. Perhaps we're looking at track record and annualized. Take a look here. Here we go. Let's look at that. Annualized return on investment. Let's just throw out 30%, 0 to 30%, see what we get. And there's one system. So that's kind of cool. You get to see how that works. So these 4 current filters, all these criteria, out of the 2,000 systems, you have one system that meet all those criteria. So that's pretty cool how you can take something and really boil it down and find exactly what you're looking for. And we'll go ahead and if you want to take a look at that system, here's what you do. You just click on it. All right, you'll see here the name of the developer. It's an E-mini S&P 500 product, swing trading system. $60 a month is the cost. That's the license cost. It comes deducted directly out of your account. And I'll also point out that all of the performance and data, percentages, dollar figures, you name it, it's net of all trading costs. So everything is net of your license fee and commissions. And you'll see here's your performance graph. See the history of this particular system. And everything is also based off of the suggested capital amount. So that's what is needed for someone to have this system trading for them, the 25,000 in this case. And you'll see here the total profit and loss since 2009, and then the tracked P&L since it became part of the AV Systems platform, and then the live P&L. So it's in a small drawdown right now. You can see the worst drawdown. And we'll go ahead and look here at this table. Gives you some more details. If you don't know what any of these icons really mean, you can just click on that little plus button. And you'll see here their winning sessions, 42.5%. Your worst drawdown, $7,900. Your best session, 8,300. The worst session, 2,100. So on and so forth. I won't go into all the details, but I'll show you this table and explain this, and then you can apply that knowledge to any other system. So everything that's white is basically hypothetical back-tested data, and that accounts for all trading cost and all slippage. And we find that the back-tested data does parallel the live data by a very, very high degree. The correlation is very strong. That's because these numbers and the way they calculate them are very conservative. Now, when it turns this tan color, that means, you can see the key up here, that means it's being tracked on the AV Systems platform. So it's on the platform being tracked. And then when it turns green, what that means is it's being traded with live money. So when it turns green, that's live money, real trading's occurring. And you'll notice in August and September of last year, it went live, had a couple drawdowns, and then whoever the clients were that got involved decided they didn't want to be in anymore. And of course, it had nice winners subsequent to that. But that's the risk you take with any kind of trading, right? The timing, and that's actually a good lesson to see here in this live demo. In that we don't recommend you get in and out of these systems very often. You really want to try to turn them on and let them work over time. And I'll also point out something here. March of 2020, remember how we looked at the stock market dropping 30%? But look at this particular system here, trading the E-mini S&P 500, and actually posted some very, very strong gains for the month, even though, of course, the stock market was dropping like a rock. So that's why we like these systems. They have non-correlation. They can help diversify portfolios. You don't have to just be long only all the time. And then look at this here. Everything is available and transparent. You can see your trade log. You can go backwards in time. It'll give you all the fill prices. You can see it based on trade by trade or day by day. So you can see that there. So everything is available and fully transparent. And if you wanted to actually trade and go live with this system and turn it on, you would just click this buy license button here. And you would see 1 unit. That's just 1 contract. And you would subscribe. And it's asking you to read and accept the risk disclosure, of course. And then you would, after you buy the license, you would then activate the system. And this is just a demo account, so I won't activate it right now, but you can go immediate activation. And sometimes the system will let you activate on the next signal, depends on the system. Then you would accept that disclaimer and then click activate. And let me show you what happens after you activate a system. And we're going to go back and we're going to clear all these filters. And let's go ahead and clear this as well. We'll go back to default. So this is our default setting here. And I also want to point out, you can filter for favorites. Anything that you want to be a favorite, you can just click on it. For example, I'm not even sure. Let's look at this E-mini. If you click on it, it turns gold, like a gold star, and then you can sort, and you can see all the favorites here, the gold stars. Here's an interesting one, copper. And you think, gee, I don't know anything about copper. You don't have to know anything about copper, right? The algo is doing the trading for you. But here's another example of March of last year. And even subsequent to March, and the market started to rally. Look at April and May. So you look at March here, had a great, great month, even though the stock market was down 30% at one point in the month. So that's why we love these systems. Provides a good diversification opportunity. And you can see this table, it was all hypothetical, and then it became available on the system, and then it went live. The green is live, real money trading with real clients trading. So some pretty good performance. Year to date, flat. And let me close that out. And here's what happens. Once you activate a system, the next step is monitor performance. You simply go to My Systems. And you can see some of the systems that are live and active in this demo account. Here's a crude oil system, 2 E-mini S&Ps. Here's gold, and here's a couple of mini NASDAQs. And you'll notice, for example, this crude oil system here has accumulated losses of 265, no trading today, and no position. And these 2 E-mini systems here, this one has 3 positions right now. It bought at 440 44.51 3/4, and sitting on a small drawdown right now, but the accumulated gains on the system are pretty large, over 24,000. Here's another one here, accumulated loss. So you can see how you're going to have some losers and some winners, just like any kind of trading. We're not cherry coating or sugar coating anything here. We're letting you see everything. Here's a gold system. Lost some money today, but overall it's made some money, and so on. And at the end here, you can see your accumulated P&L. So far today, it's on a drawdown. You know, the next hour or two could be totally different, could be positive. But the accumulated gains so far for these systems since being active are just over 24, almost 25,000. So that's how that works. If you want to stop any system, you would use this here, this icon to stop the strategy. You can choose to stop immediately or simply not trade on the next session and then click deactivate. If you wanted to dig into the visibility of any particular trade, everything's right there for you to see. For example, you'll see the fills for any particular time period. We'll look at the fills for today. You can see here, these are all the fills for today. You see that gold, NASDAQ, type of order that was used. The robot submitted stop orders, market orders, your stop price, your fill price. You can see any outstanding orders or open orders in place. You can see you've got a couple on these E-mini S&Ps and NASDAQ here. There's a stop, a limit, and a stop, giving you the volume here, the quantity, and the price, and the distance from the market. So you get to see everything the computer's doing. It's not hiding it from you, it's showing you. So it's a lot of fun to follow this. And you can see how simple it is to track and monitor. And here's a great page as well, the top 10. Okay, so you have your top 10 performers for the day right now. You can see some NASDAQ, mini Dow, gold, natural gas, Russell. There's NASDAQ as well. So you can see there, that's for today, and this is from yesterday. This is from last month, and so forth. So that's kind of a starting point sometimes if you want to look at what's doing the best, and that might help you kind of tip the hand, basically tip the deck in your favor a little bit in terms of what's looking at what's the best performing of late. All right, so with that said, let me go back to the dashboard and let me jump back in. So I just want to point out too that you can, you know, once you filter or you want to look at your favorites, the blue means it's live. So you can see these under my systems. These are your favorites, or you can turn off a favorite just by clicking on it. So there you have it, folks. This is an interesting one. It's on a small drawdown right now, but this is kind of a fun one. Here's a gold system. It's been doing very, very well. Suggested capital is $20,000. It's been trading live since earlier this summer, doing very well, although a drawdown month to date right now. But the numbers on this are pretty large. And what we like about it is the drawdown is actually quite small compared to the gains. So it has a very favorable risk-adjusted return at the moment. Your risk-reward ratio seems to be very favorable on this one. This one's intraday. It's day trading gold, $55 a month. And just thought I'd point that out. But once again, you can see the trade log here. You can see the session log. So you can look at yesterday. You can see it traded 4 times. And by the end of the day, it's always going to be 0 or flat because, once again, it's a day trading system, always flat by the end of the day. So I just thought I'd point that one out. But there's a lot of systems like that. And once again, you can filter and have a lot of fun doing that. So with that said, let me jump back. Let me show you what's next on the agenda, folks. I think you're going to love this. Hopefully you don't feel like that kid drinking from the fire hose. And I see some more questions and comments coming in. Appreciate it. Keep them coming, folks. And Someone asked about what platform do we use or recommend. Well, AV Systems is the platform. So that's what you would use to do what I just showed you. And let's see here. Anything with a green background is real live money results. And yes, we are the brokerage firm. And you have to open an account with us, of course, to be able to use our technology. Absolutely. So with that said, let me show you. We talked about some commodity markets, right? With AV Systems, you saw gold and platinum and corn and copper and whatever. This is what commodity markets have been doing. In fact, if you went back earlier, charts kind of off the chart, so to speak. And you might be thinking, I've never traded futures. I love it, but what do I know about futures? Well, keep in mind, you don't really need to know anything about copper or soybeans or hogs or the DAX or the yen. The algos are trading for you. What you need to know about is really what the historical performance is, what the suggested capital is, what the largest drawdown was, is it a day trading system, is it intraday, whatnot. So you can filter for all that, but really you're not looking at reading charts. You're not looking at, Bollinger Bands. You're not looking at the fundamental supply and demand data. None of that is relevant. So metals, look at gold. How would you trade that if you didn't have some help from technology? Or copper, look at that. Would have missed that whole move. Energy markets. Look at crude oil. And look at this here, natural gas. Stock markets, as you know, big bull market, especially since the lows there and over a year and a half ago. Currencies. So you can have exposure to all these things with the futures markets and let the algos do the work for you. And you want to be trading futures, folks. That's where the volume is. Look at this, trading volume up 32% over the first half of last year. Remember, futures are liquid, transparent. They have inherent leverage. You can diversify with alternative assets. You can be short or long, and they're very cost effective. So with that said, we're going to jump into the options portion of this. So we're going to use automation for options trading. We're going to focus on just one or two markets, and we have a unique technology and strategy. You're going to love to see this indicator to automate your options trading. Up, down markets, it doesn't matter. Non-directional, it doesn't matter. We're looking at stock index futures options, and we have a proprietary technology for that too. And first of all, why an index and not individual stocks? So why would we focus on that? Well, first of all, we all know they're less volatile. And we also have a proprietary strategy and indicator. It's not applicable with stocks. And then we're looking once again at just one market, not over, I think there's 6,000 something individual securities. Now here's an example. This is kind of exaggerated, but look at this. I had to laugh. This little line here that basically looks flat, that's the performance of the S&P 500 in comparison to GameStop. Look at that. So you talk about volatile. And of course, that's an exaggerated example, but it almost looks like, there's no movement at all on the index compared to that individual stock. Now, with that said, what about insurance companies? Let's shift gears a little. How do they make money? We all know the answer. You pay premiums, and they're selling you time, and you're essentially buying time. They insure themselves by hedging. They're consistent and patient in their plans, and they look at math. They're looking at probabilities, favorable long-term probabilities. Statistics, that's all they do is applied math. Expected returns, actuarials. And you know who else does that? Casinos. Gaming. So that's called the house, the casino. And that's basically why they're in business. They operate in a higher probability environment or landscape. Look at that roulette wheel. You spin it enough times and you're going to lose $5.26 on average each spin. So that's the house's edge. So they gladly have you sitting there for the rest of your life because they're going to make that money off you. That's what the math says. And they don't care if they pay you winnings at times. They're still going to stick to their long-term plan. So it's the law of large numbers. Just that simple. So here's the question. How can you be the house when trading options? Well, let's look at a baseball analogy. Higher probability. What's a higher probability outcome? Hitting a grand slam or a base hit? Even if you don't know baseball, I think the answer is obvious. Let's look at this here with some short option strategies. Oh, that was my mistake there. Okay. Collecting premium. And if you sell options, you're going to know some of this and you're going to learn something new as well. And if you don't, it's all going to be new and we'll make it really simple and it'll go quickly, I promise. So you're selling options and collecting the premium. You become the insurance company. But we're only going to look at higher probability outcomes and the risk is predetermined. These are called credit spreads, predetermined risk and reward, and they may be non-directional in nature. And if you're scratching your head on that, I'll explain that here. This chart might explain. Here's the S&P 500 kind of moving slowly upwards. And here's what a trade structure might look like, the upper boundary and the lower boundary. And that's a very wide range or margin of error. And I will explain this, don't worry if you're scratching your head. But first of all, the Greeks. We're going to look at two of them. That's all we need to know. We're not going to jump down into the weeds and get, multiple derivatives and second and third and fourth order Greeks and all that nonsense with Black-Scholes and formula. That's a lot of mumbo jumbo for our purposes. We've built some machinery and technology to do the work for us, but we should understand at least what these two words mean. Delta, the approximate probability of expiring in the money. For example, you see the yellow, 0.25 means 25% chance of expiring in the money, but conversely, 75% chance of expiring worthless. So that's what we need to focus on. And remember, delta is always moving with price and time, and it is not the probability of a winning trade. So make sure you understand that. And then theta. So you have time decay. Remember, options have limited lifespan. And theta decay is really referring to time as a negative number equaling 1 day of time decay. So if your option's at 10 points, theta is negative 0.05. The next day, the premium would drop from 10 to 9.95, and the next day after that, 9.90, etc., etc. Just that's what it looks like. As you approach time zero, the percent of the premium starts to drop off and off and off. So here's a call spread. Simple example. This red line here, you would sell this 45.50 call for 4.5 points. So you collect that, put that in your pocket. At the same time, you buy this 45.70 call and you have to pay 2.25. But the net result is you collect 2.25, $112.50 minus your fees. So that's just selling a covered call spread. Same thing with puts. Here are the puts that you sell and buy. You sell this one for 3, you buy one for 1. The net result is you collect $100. Very simple. Now these are not naked options. Of course, these are insured. Your maximum risk is predetermined. These are called covered spreads. No naked things allowed with our trading. If you're doing naked options, don't. It won't work. It will work until it does not. And when it doesn't work, it won't work in a big way. I can promise you that. I've seen it. And remember, the advantage to doing covered options, first of all, there's no margin calls and no unlimited risk. And essentially, you don't have the market trading you. You are in control when you're doing covered spreads. Here's an iron condor. It's a crazy name, but it's just the combination of the put spread and call spread we just saw. And that's all it is. Simple. And we're going to look at that in just a second. You sell an out of the money call spread and put spread, and you collect the net premium. And you look for the market to stay in that range in between those boundaries. So here we go. People have called this weird, but here's our proprietary strategy. It's a short option strategy. We came up with this name, the Dragonfly. And here you go, folks. It's a variation on a condor. And here's what it looks like. I'm going to walk you through this here. Here's the structure of a dragonfly. First of all, let's start at the calls. You'll see the 4 by this red line. These are the calls we're selling. We're selling 4 of these calls. We're also buying 3 further out of the money calls and 1 closer to the money call. And then same structure on the puts, selling 4, buying 3, and then buying 1 closer to the money. And now let's point out here, the one you're buying in terms of the puts and the calls, these are 50 points closer to the money. You see this is a 40-10 versus 40-60, and the same with the put. So you this one and this one, and this has a completely game-changing dynamic in many market conditions, because you own this option that's 50 points closer to the money, and if the market's moving upwards, getting closer to the 4 that you sold, this one here is going to gain in value much more rapidly because of a higher delta. It's going to lose value slower. Theta Decay won't impact it as much because it's 50 points closer to the money. Same thing with the puts. And I'll also point out, I won't get into this too long, but you can do bearish strategies or bullish strategies with the Dragonfly by doing, you can do just the calls or just the puts. And you can also do this, what we call a bear hedge, where you are selling an out of the money call spread, and the money that you collect, you use to buy or finance the purchase of an out of the money put spread. So if the market starts to decline rapidly, then this trade should work out well for you. And of course you could do a bull hedge as well, but I just gave that as an example. But how would you know, like I think that's Jackie Chan, how would you know which market to do this with, how to buy and sell, what strategy to apply and when, what's the price, what's the timing, how do you manage the risk and the profits, you know, how do you choose the strikes and expirations? Well, here you go, folks. It's called Theta Trades. These are pre-built option spreads. Our proprietary algo builds these Theta Trades for automation, bull, bear, and flat market conditions. So you have that automation with the RTI, the risk thermal indicator, and I'll show you that. Simple, effective option spreads and profit and risk management. So we are going to jump into a demo. Okay, folks, give me just a second. Okay, let me switch gears here. And I see some hands and questions and all. That's great. Keep them coming. I'm not avoiding you. I just can't get to everything at the moment. All right, folks, you are now, yeah, keep the questions coming, folks. Believe me, I'll get to them shortly. Yeah, a lot of good responses. That's great. I like that. And I want to make sure you're seeing the screen that I'm seeing. Yes, you are. Give me just 1 second here, folks. I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, we're back in business. So you're looking at the dashboard for Theta Trader, and I will explain the sections here. In fact, maybe I can, yeah, that's sometimes I hate, well, I shouldn't say I hate it, but I think it's annoying when you watch a webinar and people are showing you something that, you know, you might need 100 times magnifier to see. So I'll try to avoid that. So you have Theta Trades. in this section here. You have your open short option spreads here, any long option spreads. Here's your account info. This is all pulled directly from your AltVest trading account. It's all integrated. And, pricing here on the stock indices and some other markets. So we'll start at the top, and you'll see there are bullish strategies that are pre-built, pre-populated, bearish, and non-directional or neutral. We're looking at these three markets, the E-mini, S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, and Russell 2000. So we're looking at these three markets for Theta Trader, and mostly on the ES. Most of the volume we're working with is typically on the ES, but occasionally we'll do NASDAQ and Russell as well. And since we looked at the Dragonfly and the Condor, let's focus on that. We'll look at a Condor. These are the Theta Trades for Condors, anywhere from 17 to 67 days till expiration. And remember, these are built by the algorithm. So the strike prices and the pricing and the expirations, everything is already pre-selected for you. And I'll explain this here. This is your maximum profit potential, and then your targeted annualized return. And I want to make sure I make this clear. You can't expect to generate 196% per year by placing this trade. This is only here to compare one trade to another, because that figure would just assume that every 17 days you place that same trade and made that exact same profit, and that would be the result. But of course, we know that's not realistic. But really, it's really there to compare one trade to another. And you'll notice that the trades that have a longer duration, of course, would have a lower annualized return, which makes a lot of sense. But we'll go ahead and we'll click here on this November week 3 expiration. It's going to pull up all the details, and you can look at a chart. I'd love to take a look at the graph. It gives an idea of where we are, kind of the helicopter view. Looking at just the calls, you could look at just the puts, and then of course here's the Condor. So you can see it's all built for you. The legs are filled in, the strikes are filled in, the pricing's already done for you. And you'll notice here the settlement at 250. You'll notice the premium, cash required. I'm going to focus on this right here, these two figures. Cash required is 896, and your profit potential maximum at expiration is 104. Then there's also the targeted return on cash and your targeted annualized return. But people will ask, and you're probably thinking, why would I have $896 allocated and I'm only going to try to make a maximum of 104? Well, remember, folks, we're looking at higher probability outcomes, kind of that baseball analogy with the base hits. So the put that we're selling, 3830 put, has a delta of 9.89. So that means there's over a 90% probability that this option here will expire worthless. The same with the call that you're selling, 6.98 delta, so that's a 93% probability that this call that you're selling will expire worthless as well. So those are the higher probability outcomes we're looking for, and that's why we love the algos building these trades for us. It always defaults to 1, but you can change the quantity, and you see here it changes all the numbers. Maybe we'll do 6 of these, and it always defaults to a sell, because you're selling the Condor and collecting the premium. We'll leave the pricing alone at 2.5 and place that order. And there it just assumed we're filled in this demo account. All right, now we'll look at a Dragonfly. And then I'll show you the best feature of all. Well, it's tied for the best feature, I think, but we'll get to that in just a second. I'll show you this Dragonfly. And here's the same expiration for a Dragonfly. Here's what the chart looks like. This is all pre-built for you. Remember that. You don't have to pick or do anything here. You'll notice the cash required is 4,600. So it's obviously higher than the Condor because you're selling 4 puts and 4 calls. It's always in increments of 4. So if you did 2 Dragonflies, if you change the quantity to 2, see the number goes up to 9,300, so on and so forth. So this one here, cash required, your profit potential, targeted return on cash is a little bit lower than a Condor. And remember why that is, folks? Because you're paying money. You're buying extra insurance for this call here and this put. That's the difference. Your return target is a little bit lower, but it's going to be a little more robust and a little more risk averse, especially in certain circumstances. You'll notice the puts you're selling and the calls you're selling here, the delta on those here. Of course, over a 90 and 93% probability that these strikes would expire worthless as well. Of course, you could also change the strikes, but I don't think there's any point in doing that because that defeats the whole purpose of the machine building the trade for you. And we'll choose 2 of these. We'll sell 2 of the Dragonflies. And you place the order, and that's it. Now, here we go. Let me show you this. This is a really incredible feature, and you've not seen this anywhere. We'll go back to the dashboard. There is a trade simulator. So you can go backwards in time, and you can backtest these strategies over any window of time. And I've already loaded a few to compare and show you, save some time. I think I have to shrink the screen down a little bit. Okay, so here on May 1st of last year, here's an end of month June Condor. And we'll use these buttons. You can go all the way to the end, all the way to the back, or just go one step at a time. You go one step at a time. You'll see here, each one of these lines here represents a day. You can see the trade turning green as Theta Decay starts to work. The RTI is green, and I'll explain that in a second, but in more detail, but green is just good, do nothing, don't need to do anything. We'll play that out. Look at this, turns yellow and then orange. That means elevated risk. And the trade went from positive to red or negative. And you can see why. It's getting close to that upper boundary and not enough time has passed yet. Theta Decay hasn't had enough time to fully work. And now it turns green again because the market pulled back. But I want to ask you, if you're trading this without the help of this technology, how many of you would panic and close out that trade right there at probably the worst possible time? So believe me, we see that, seen that happen countless times, and that was the catalyst behind making this technology. But anyway, and then it turns blue. So blue means take profits. Now I want everyone to focus on this real quickly. Whenever the RTI turns blue to take profits, or if there's too much risk and it turns red, you can have Theta Trader automatically close out the position for you. You do not have to monitor and screen watch and babysit your trade. Theta Trader will track and monitor your position, and then when the algo says to take profits, it will submit that order for you, or if it says it's red, too much risk, take your loss and move on, it will automatically do that as well. So there's a Condor, and remember that was done on May 1st. What if on May 1st, you had done a Dragonfly for that same expiration? Let's look at what happened. Do you all see what happened? On May 28th, the Dragonfly matured enough to take profits. The algo said get out. So on May 28th, look back here on May 28th on the Condor, and it was green, but there was no profit taking order yet. You still had to wait all the way till June 24, almost a month later, for this trade to mature enough or ripen enough to close out that trade. But you can see how the Dragonfly can sometimes be a lot more robust, allow you to close out a trade much earlier. And once again, it's because you own this call and this put. And you can see as the market's moving closer, the value of this call you own is gaining in value more rapidly than the further out of the money calls that you sold. So that's the difference. Here's another condor. This is May 4, or is that March 4 of this year. Yellow, orange, elevated risk, trades turning negative. And then it turns red. Too much risk. On this 2 days left, this trade basically gave you really no chance to get out. It just kept going higher and higher, relentlessly moving and putting pressure on that trade. And you end up taking a small loss on that condor. And let's look at the Dragonfly on that same date with the same expiration. Look at this, turns profitable with 38 days remaining. You have a signal there in a window of time where it's going to submit that order and close out that trade for you. So that's amazing how these dragonflies can sometimes mature so much more rapidly than a condor. And we'll look at another condor. This is November 20 of 2019. Here's a January into month. Getting yellow, elevated risk, and then it turns red. Too much risk, get out. And that was on January 16. Now let's compare that to a dragonfly on that same day. Look at this, turns profitable on January 3rd. So again, the dragonfly is more robust, but on the other hand, you have to give up a little bit of potential return. So we like it, we love it, we focus on it, clients love it. And it's not to say we can't do or don't do condors, because we do. It's just that we really love the dragonfly and we'd like to really focus on those as sort of the bread and butter. And here's how you would set it up, folks. In your settings, and you simply activate the risk manager, activate the profit directive, and then save your settings. And then Theta Trader will track everything for you, monitor the trade, close out your positions automatically. And while I'm here, I want to point out we have video tutorials available. So these are all embedded in Theta Trader if you need some help, but it is so user-friendly and intuitive. I don't think you really, probably most people don't need that unless they're brand new. We have some education if you are new for trading options and futures options and stock options, stock index futures options. So it's all right here. And I will also point out we have proprietary research. It's our TradeScope newsletter where we just look for analysis on the stock indices and look at some market outlooks and looking ahead at what to look for. And also, this is another great piece here called the Daily Trading Summary. So we do this each day, and you'll see yesterday we did dragonflies. You can see their quotes. You can see what happened in Asia, in Europe, in the US, looking ahead, and technical support resistance zones, and then of course economic calendar. So that's all available every day to all of the Theta Trader clients. And I will go back and I'll point out a couple things here, and then we'll get to the very, very best feature of all. And I want to point out that if you are, for example, looking to, we touched on it briefly, but if you are looking for some strategies maybe that act more as a hedge against a market, moving down. Remember, we mentioned the bear hedge. Here's October into month, just randomly picking one. And you can see here, this is what that strategy looks like. You're selling this call spread and then using that money to buy this put spread. And it's all pre-done for you, the pricing and everything. And then you just add the quantity that you want. You could, of course, do a bull hedge as well. You can choose any of these markets. And then here's something too, for example, you might want to look at, we talked about just doing half the side of a Dragonfly. And I'll show you what that looks like. So if you were somewhat, neutral to bullish, then you could place just the put side of a Dragonfly. That's what that looks like. That's fine too. People like to do that. But in other words, you can really mix and match this and have a lot of fun with it too. But the bread and butter, I think a lot of times is really the Dragonfly, and you can kind of fill in with the allocation with your portfolio, maybe some condors as well. So there you have that. And you can also see, before we jump off the page, you can see at a glance all your open positions here, short and long, because of course you can buy spreads or just outright options, but you can go backwards in time. You can look at the closed positions and open positions all on one page. So these are all the open positions here. You can see everything at a glance. And if you wanted to drill down maybe and look at the beginning of that trade and follow the history of the trade, you can see it there. You can see it was placed on August 12, and it's green, but you notice the P&L is red and yet the RTI is green, and that's perfect. That's normal. It's typically going to be red for a while because theta decay has not worked yet enough to make it profitable. But now you see here it's turning nicely profitable, and it's probably getting close to a blue profit-taking signal. I would imagine the algo will trigger that shortly if nothing crazy happens. But that's how you look at your open positions on one page, and then here are the closed positions. You can use this tool up here to filter. I just have everything here on one page. Gives you a summary. 16 trades, 14 winners, 2 losers. 11 winning short positions, which makes sense because those are higher probability outcomes. We bought some options here 3 times and lost on 2 of those, which also makes sense. So you can once again look at any one of these. You can just pick on, I don't know, any one of them. Here's a Dragonfly, and that's the history of that Dragonfly. You can see it there. Placed on July 20. And you can see how kind of day by day it was just kind of all green, a little bit yellow, and then it went blue, and the RTI said get out, and it automatically triggered that order and took profit. So you can see it's a user-friendly platform, very simple yet effective, and that's why we built it this way. And a large client base of people trading options, and this is why we did this. It's just too difficult to manage and monitor for the typical person to try to do this on their own. And that's why large institutions and whatnot, proprietary firms, are trading these types of strategies, these non-directional strategies, and some of the similar things we looked at. And they're doing it, and really the typical retail trader probably isn't. And that's because it's just a bit complex, too many moving parts, too difficult to track, monitor, follow. And that's why we did this the way we did. Now I want to jump out here and show you one last feature. Hopefully you don't feel like that was too much at one time, like the kid with the fire hose or Lucy and Ethel. All right, so let's make it easier. We talked about those trade alerts half an hour ago. I think we mentioned them. 1 minute, one touch response. you simply touch accept or reject on your device. That's all you have to do. So these alerts are live, meaning they're integrated with your account. And if you like the alert, you just touch the green accept. And the order is placed thanks to Theta Traders technology. Here's an example. You'll receive a text message with a link, and you just touch that link, and it takes you right to the alert. You'll see the graph of the trade, explanation, and maybe you can't see it, but see the quantity? The quantity is already pre-sized for your account, pre-selected. So everything is pre-populated for you. And if you like it, you touch accept, and that's all there is to it. And we'll look at that one more time. This could be for a dragonfly, it could be for a a bull hedge, a half dragonfly, a condor. Now, here we go, folks. Take a moment. I'll give you some time in the questions window there on your webinar tool window there. Just enter in your 10-digit US cell phone number and the name of your wireless carrier. And then we can send out an alert to you, and at least you have an idea of how it works and what it looks like. So I'll give you just a few moments to do that. And yeah, at the moment, it only works with for US clients. And if you're outside the US, I apologize. It's just not, it's just, one of those things where I wish we could make it work. But regulators and so forth have a lot to say about what we can and can't do. All right, folks. So yeah, that's what it looks like. We're in yellow, and that's where you enter the 10-digit US phone number and the name of the carrier. All right. Now, here we go. Here we go, folks. Let's get you started. If you're chomping at the bit and you like what you see, you want to get involved, here is the membership offer. And it is an amazing offer, actually. People tell us all the time, wow, that's a really great deal. So you tell me what you think after we're done. We call it the VIP. So remember, you'll get AV systems. You saw the automated futures trading solution. All that R&D, all the system programmers, thousands of system robots, multiple market sectors. Everything's transparent. You flip the switch on or off. Automated risk profit controls. You can choose from day trading or swing trading. Then you can watch that performance live in real time. We've spent a fortune. We've probably spent 7 figures over the years on developers for, you name it, FX systems, futures trading systems. It's a costly, time-consuming thing. Ask us how we know. And one programmer to build one algo for one market, just for one system, we've calculated over $10,000. So remember, you've got thousands of systems to choose from with AV systems. You also have access to our research on the systems platform. You'll want to know what our top picks are. We call it, what's the A list? So the value for all of our research as well, $2,952. So you have the AV systems VIP membership that includes the Algos and the A-list research, over $13,700 value. And then of course, Theta Trader. Let's not forget what we just reviewed with automated options. So this algo-driven options, very, very unique. That Theta Trader software is proprietary. Remember, our algorithm that we built after decades of experience will build those spreads for you and then track and monitor and close out the trade for you automatically with that RTI tool, the risk thermal indicator. We call that autopilot, trying to be as non-emotional as possible. Remember, Motley Fool said the worst enemy is ourselves. So we put this in the hands of the algos. You simply check that box for the risk and the profit directive. It's just that simple. And of course, the trade simulator, you saw what a great tool that is. It's a lot of fun. It's very powerful. Go backwards in time with any of the strategies. So remember, you have the Theta Trades, the RTI, and the simulator. That software valued over $3,500. And then the one-touch trade alerts. People completely can't live without these, folks. They absolutely rely on these things. These alerts come to you. They're custom and specific to you and your account. And all you do is touch accept if you like it and red if you don't. And then, of course, once your trade is filled, the RTI manages everything. Those alerts valued at least $4,400. People spend a fortune on alerts and newsletters. We hear about it. I've done it as well. So we completely understand. So that value over $8,000 for Theta Trader. So just to summarize, the VIP, you get AV Systems and Theta Trader, which includes the alerts, of value over $21,800. And then here's the best part. You have a coach and a mentor to work with, someone who's licensed and experienced in everything I just reviewed. They'll do 1-hour screen sharing sessions on any topic. Here's some examples, but whatever topic is of interest to you, they can help you with that. So you have those training sessions. You basically work with a co-pilot. You'll develop a relationship with that licensed trader, discuss your history, review your trades, what to look for moving forward, how to allocate, you name it. $7,500 at least. People spend $25,000, $50,000 on education. And what we're telling you, that's fine, but with the VIP membership, we include what you need for using Theta Trader and AV Systems. So you have AV Systems, Theta Trader, the alerts, and the coach. $29,300 value, and that's a little corny with that bonus, but remember the research, folks. That proprietary research, we work hard on that every day. Clients love referring to that. $2,900 value. And of course, I mentioned those online tutorials that's included, of course, with the software. So you get everything in the VIP valued at over $32,000. And we think it might be the one tool that could save you a lot of time. You can cancel subscriptions and other services. People are telling us, and we hear about it every week. Oh, gee, I don't have to have this, and I don't have to have that. And that's exactly right. That's the whole idea. So we think it's worth it for that one tool that maybe you need in your tool belt or in your toolbox, as they say. And yes, it's true. People are spending tens of thousands of dollars for algo systems and option software. So here's the VIP offer. You get everything we just talked about, and it is a live presentation. And in the past, we've offered this in basically, one-on-one presentations in live events and whatnot. Actually, $4,000. It's actually wrong. It's been $4,000 in the past. But here we go, folks. 73% discount through Friday night, $797. One payment. So this is a lifetime membership. You get one payment only. That's the link, cf.altivest.com/VIP. There's my direct phone number, 949-236-6961. Of course, if you call right now, I can't get to it, but someone else will pick up. And 30-day guarantee, no excuse. So if you're one of those procrastinators, don't. If you're just even on the fence a little bit, just sign up and talk to us, and something changes, and we'll go ahead and just rebate you. We're not holding anyone hostage. And in fact, you know, we're basically here as a brokerage firm with this proprietary technology and all of our guidance and all of our service. And for that kind of price, it's really not even something people have said, gee, I don't even know why anyone wouldn't do this. So you have that 30-day guarantee. If you want a free membership, people love this offer too. You deposit $100,000 and we'll just rebate that membership fee, no questions asked. Now, a couple questions. Taxes. If you're not trading futures, folks, you're not tax efficient. They have tax advantages that trading in stocks do not. They use a blended rate. 60% of your gains are taxed at the long-term rate, which we know is much less than the short-term rate. For example, if you're trading stocks, you get a 20% return on 100 grand. You're going to have a rate of return of 12.6%. And if you're doing this with futures, your rate of return jumps to 14.64% because of the tax savings. Tax efficient, you save over $2,000 just because you're trading in the most tax efficient environment. And there's no more itemizing and wash sales. You just get the one number that in your P&L for your 1099. IRA. Yes, we do self-directed IRAs. Forbes says alternative assets are available through self-directed IRAs. Absolutely. They have the ability to diversify a portfolio by adding investments with a low correlation to stocks and bonds. May help retirement investors control volatility and limit downside risk in portfolios. Absolutely. Now, why the E-minis? People ask. Well, they're liquid, efficient, and cost-effective, and they're huge. It's kind of an oxymoron. So mini can be huge, 2.5 times larger than all ETFs around the world. Let's say that again. The E-mini S&P 500, this one market, 2.5 times bigger than all ETFs in the whole world. And not only that, but it's 10 times larger than the SPY. So this is the right market, folks. 5 more advantages to the E-mini options: volume, liquidity, access. In July, your average daily volume, over 1.3 million. Amazing. Superior execution. ES options offer a cost savings of $4 to $15 per contract compared to SPX. That means you have those tight bid-offer spreads. And then that superior execution that I mentioned with the Dragonfly, with Theta Trader, you place Dragonflies as one order at one price, meaning one object. All done, all 6 legs are done simultaneously. If you try to do a Dragonfly in stocks, you can't. You have to break up your order into 2 separate orders and try to leg in. It's a nightmare. And then you have to track it separately. So that's the advantage of being in the futures option space. Completely different environment, different level of execution. There's 30 market makers supporting these E-mini options. They call it actionable liquidity. And everything's electronic, folks, all trading through Globex. And I'll show you that in a second. But remember too, there are densely packed strikes and 100 annual expirations. I think it's even greater than that. I'll have to get, that's just from a few months back, but they add more and more expirations. So what's the advantage to that? When the algo is looking for strikes that it needs, they're available. So you can see here you have calls and puts, and a week or 2 later, you have another set of calls and puts, and a week or 2 later, another set. So you want to be able to ladder your positions and not concentrate your risk at any one expiration or strike price level. And you can do that with the E-minis. The strikes are available. If you try to go, 2 standard deviations out on, SPX options, a lot of the strikes aren't going to be there. You just can't build those trades. And remember, we're tracking just these E-minis. You have efficient margin compared to stocks. You have a clear cost structure. And I'll talk about that in a second. But these are not securities options. They trade at the CME Group, the largest futures exchange in the world, on their electronic Globex. And every order is treated equally, no matter how large or small. It all flows through the same electronic exchange, and there's no payment for order flow. And humor me as I beat up a little bit on the stock options guys and brokerage firms that claim to be, quote, commission free. You know, like Robinhood. It says Robinhood customer orders were executed at prices inferior to other brokers. Cost customers $34 million. SEC charges them with misleading customers. SEC fines them $65 million. I think FINRA just fined them too. Here's a guy that says you can save a penny but lose a nickel. And if you're not paying for something, you're going to pay for it in a way you can't see it. And I'll finish beating up on him in just a second, but payment for order flow is disguised commissions. If you want a broker to work for you, pay a commission. And that whole model may not even be around. The SEC may take them to court, banning that payment for order flow model. So remember, nothing of value is truly ever free. So that was my point of beating up on them, is it's just a marketing gimmick when they say commission free. It doesn't mean we can't trade stock options. I mean, everyone does, but it's not free, folks. So that's the question people ask: what are your commission rates? It's 5 1/4 round turn. And here's something I copied just off the page of a big box brokerage firm. They charge 2 1/4, but here's the trick. They have a little star, and that's per side. Then they add more fees on top, and the total is higher than what we charge. So our rates are very competitive, and also everything is net. See the yellow highlight? All the performance in Theta Trader is net of all trading costs. And of course, everyone's performance is different. Everyone uses the platform differently. Now, what size of account for the VIP membership? We suggest a minimum of 50,000. That way you can have multiple spreads and systems running in AV systems. And remember, as a reminder, $100,000 account, you get that rebate of the membership fee. And trading accounts, yes, IRA, individual, joint, corporate LLC, trust. And just to reiterate, benefits of the self-directed IRAs: diversify a portfolio. You can add investments with a low correlation to stocks and bonds. May help control volatility and limit downside risk. And then why alternatives? May improve diversification and lower portfolio risk. And here's that yellow section here. I highlighted that. It may smooth the impact of market volatility and may generate higher returns. And now look at this, talking about diversification. Here are the FANG stocks, and here's central bank liquidity, this dark blue line. So do you see any correlation there, folks? This whole market melt up is really based on liquidity driven by the Federal Reserve. Fascinating. Total market cap to GDP, the Warren Buffett indicator. You know, we're at record highs and getting higher. How about this CPI? How about that CPI number? But meanwhile, of course, you know what that is, consumer price inflation. But meanwhile, our government's telling us, well, if you don't count all the things that basically you use every day in your life, then it's just normal. Like this guy says here sarcastically, if you just back out all 19 components of the commodities index, there's no inflation. If you don't look at the all-time high for US producer prices, accelerating to plus 8.3% year over year inflation, there's nothing to see either. So yeah, look at that. And I think those numbers are understated, but you all know what I'm talking about. And look at this, this says it all. I don't even need to read that. We're way off the strong inflation meter there. But meanwhile, they just keep pumping the money, keep it coming. So the whole point of that is to say, you know, there's some different approaches that you might need to consider. You know, even if you're making some money, it may not even be enough to keep up with inflation. So we like the low correlation to traditional assets that alternatives offer. So it's not correlated to a benchmark, your performance within AV systems or performance that you're generating with Theta Trader, completely independent. So we like portfolio 3, that gray slice of the pie in alternatives. We'd like to be a part of that within your portfolio, have some alternatives, and we can have that VIP membership. So with that, you've got really two choices. We'd love to have you on board as a VIP member, or of course, you can just continue what you're doing, and that may be working great for you. I don't know. So to summarize, folks, you have AV Systems, you have Theta Trader, and you have the personal coaching. That's your VIP membership. We think using automation can help your trading. We think it's the best way to move forward for a lot of people. And there is the final bit of that. And I think I answered a lot of questions. I love all the feedback. All right, let me see if I can get into that. Let's see here, I've got some questions. Okay. Boy, there's a nice bunch of questions here, folks. Yes, the robots do all the work. AV Systems, they do everything for you. You just simply activate your system, turn it on, and walk away. That's correct. And what else is someone asking here? Yeah, absolutely. There's always risk involved. Anytime there's a potential for reward, there is risk. So that's why we suggest using risk capital only. And just because, you know, a particular system had good performance and, you know, some period of time in the past doesn't mean it's going to exactly replicate that performance moving forward. We all know that phrase, past performance is no guarantee of future results. So I think that's something to consider. No, the worst drawdown will not be more than the suggested capital. It's that won't happen. And the system results are real when you see it in green. That's correct. And let me ask here. Yes, there is a recording of the presentation. And Altivest, we are the brokerage firm, and this is our technology. So you have to have an account with Altivest. So you sign up to become a VIP member. And once you sign up, we will get you onboarded with your account, just like any other brokerage firm. There are no data fees. Nope. And minimum account, we talked to that a little bit. Yes, IRA, yes. And there you can trade the euro currency, absolutely. And I think the pound as well. And yeah, you have the coach available to help you when you're trying to basically choose your systems or when to turn them off and on. And the same thing with your Theta Trades, absolutely. Yes, the cash required is the max loss on the spread on Theta Trader. Yes, correct. It's the it's your basically your maximum exposure minus the premium received. And yeah, thanks for entering the phone numbers. I see a bunch of those. Yep, we are the brokerage firm. I reviewed the commissions and I put the phone number in there. It's right there on the screen. Absolutely. Someone's asking what platform. I'm not sure what that means other than we provide the trading platforms. So AV Systems and Theta Trader. We are the brokerage firm. This is our technology, and these are our technology platforms. Does not work with a very small. I don't know what very small would mean, but we definitely suggest at least 50,000. If you have a little bit less, that's fine too, but not very, very small. Yes, you can move IRA accounts. We work with Midland as our custodian. Every week we're moving IRA accounts over to us and getting those started. And let's take a look here. Okay. Oh, someone's asking for the subscription link in the chat. Let me see if I can do that in a second. Yeah, we can't work with 9,000. That just wouldn't really do you any justice. Just using Theta Trader, I'd say 25,000. And of course, you can chat with us. Give us a call. You see the phone number on the screen. And yeah, in terms of AV Systems, if you use the suggested capital, then you know the basically you're going to be out of any particular trade way, way before the suggested capital amount is, essentially utilized. So there's a large, large buffer there with that suggested capital. Okay. AltaVest is a brokerage firm since 1997. Correct. And my name is Eric, and that's my phone number on the screen. And you pay $7.97. It's a one-time fee, and you just pay all at once. And in terms of the minimum account, we recommend 50,000 for VIP. If you want to do just focus on Theta Trader or AV Systems, one or the other, you can do that too with maybe 25,000, half of that amount. And yes, with the AV Systems, you just turn on the systems and they do all the trading for you. That is correct. And then once you place a Theta trade and you have your RTI automation set up, then it will monitor that trade, track the trade, and close out the trade for you. All right, folks. Let me type this in here real quick. Okay, so I just put that in the chat window so everyone can see that. At least I think they can. Let me double check. Ah, there we go. Now you can see that. And yeah, I think we got through all the questions. That's a lot of great questions, everyone. I see some redundant questions, so I think we've covered that. I'm seeing a hand raised. Let me see what this is all about here. Yeah, I think I answered those questions. Try the chat window again, folks. Let me know. Someone type in and let me know they can see the link in the chat window. Got it. Thank you. And let's scroll back up here. Okay, minimum account. For VIP, we suggest 50,000. If someone had less than that, maybe 25,000, you could still do it, but you're more limited. Hopefully that helps answer the question. And in terms of a learning curve, thanks for the question. Well, it is very user-friendly, and the automation makes short work of what would otherwise be a very time-consuming and cumbersome process. So in terms of the simplicity and ease of use, you're not going to have a whole lot of trouble trying to figure out how to use the technology. I mean, I went through the demo and it's really just about that easy. So it is something that really anyone with some level of minimal trading experience could probably pick up on pretty quickly. Working on a smartphone, well, yeah, the trade alerts are sent to your, smart device, whether it's a phone or pad. So absolutely, Theta Trader will work on a smartphone. And the AV systems, I wouldn't recommend using the smartphone for those types of things, only because you just don't have the full features and the full functionality available. But once again, when you do AV systems, for example, you can mostly just activate a system and then, monitor the performance. You're not really engaging with it a lot. Let's see, repeating the markets. We're trading the E-mini, S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Russell. That's what Theta Trader is trading. All right, folks. I think we've covered a lot of ground, and I've kept you on the phone for a while. So appreciate staying with me. Someone said they don't see anything in the chat window, but let me double check that. Yeah, I did send that to the entire audience, so you should see it in the chat window, the link. Okay, yeah, it's working. All right, folks, and oh, just one other thing, and I wish it weren't true, or wish I didn't have to say this, because we'd love to have you. If you're in Canada or the EU, we're just not able to work with you unless you have a legal U.S. residence. And we would love to. We get people every day, quite literally, wanting to trade with us. But from a regulatory perspective, the geniuses, in those countries, they want to basically keep their money in their country. So a little bit of protectionism, and they will not allow allow you to have an account with us. And if you're in the UK, you can. If you're in Australia, you can. Oh, someone just asked about South Africa. I would have to ask. Send me an email and remind me. I'll make a note here about South Africa. And yeah, we'd love to have you. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. And thanks again. So this is good through Friday. So that deal. And once again, 30-day money back guarantee on that membership. But if you think it's something that speaks to you, we'd love to work with you. And we think you'd like using all that technology and automation to your advantage. All right, great. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll let you get going and have a great rest of the day. Give us a ring. You can call me at that number and send me an email, info or Eric, E-R-I-K, at Altavest. That's fine too. Thanks, folks. We'll let you go. Have a good one. All right, bye-bye.